Now, the other interesting point is that, yes, inflation will rise, you say, but it may not hit double digits. As a lot of people are saying, it's going to go through the roof. It's just like unprecedented. Now, why do you say that?
So firstly, for some structural reasons, I think inflation is on an uptrend now. And so reasons that we have already foreshadowed in this show. One is the fact that as you see a decline in population, you see less people entering the labor force, that sets up the platform for higher wages. So one is population decline. Second is an environment of deglobalization where countries are becoming much more protectionist. There's obviously less competition there. Then in general, a trend we'll speak about in this show as well, productivity has been relatively weak with so many inefficient companies operating out there, zombie companies as we call them. And that's another reason why we're likely to see higher input costs with lower productivity. And in general, there is very little appetite for any government to engage in any kind of austerity. As those debt number shows that, historically governments would take on more debt in times of crises. Now they take on debt in both good and bad times. So the governments are on a spending spree in general. So these are some of the long-term reasons why I think inflation around the world is on an uptrend after being on a downtrend for the last 40 years. Having said that, there are some immediate checks and balances. One of the points
that you say, you're saying that populism, that's part of winning elections, winning votes. We move on to your next, interesting, the first point kind of goes against that, because you say, inflation prices will not rise too much because government stimulus will be set to decline this year. Now, if there's no appetite for austerity and there's populism, that slightly contradicts. Explain that. And you said price spikes in key sectors like transport and lodging and housing may actually ease. And this is important. You said tech advances can still restrain the price rise.
Yeah, so in inflation, my sort of forecast is that this is a 2 steps forward, 1 step back kind of process. So I outlined the structural reasons why inflation is likely to increase, but immediately in the year 2022, there could be some constraining factors. So yes, in general, the government spending is likely to keep going up, but the stimulus was so heavy and so intense in 2020 and 2021 that in 2022, just some hiatus will take place in terms of fresh stimulus, I feel. So this is more of a hiatus rather than an end to anything. So I don't think it's a contradiction that in general governments are more populist, but in 2022, mathematically, it'll be hard for them to keep spending at the same rate as they did over the last couple of years. And briefly,
because they may do too much and get into trouble on the election front as well.
Exactly. We're already seeing some pushback of that in the United States, that a country that has been very keen to stimulate at any excuse, you're finding there that even some of the Democrat senators are now wary of putting in more stimulus because inflation is now the topmost concern of the US voter. So that natural checks and balances are still there, that the focus is shifting now from just going all for growth to also constraining inflation a bit. So therefore, I feel that this inflation is on a structural uptrend, but it's a 2 steps forward, 1 step back process. It's likely that in 2022, the inflation performance is not as bad because of that 1 step back with some checks and balances from technology to just the exhaustion with stimulus setting in.